Now, but before I let you go, you did want to address something. What was that? What exactly did you want to discuss? I remember you.
It was Denise's comment about um how I don't know if she was talking about dating or if she was just talking about in general that it's easier for trans men uh than it is for trans women. And I kind of wanted to bring up a couple of things about why that may be a little untrue
Okay,
to a certain
before you
extent.
get started, I do want to make it clear that it was a snippet, and I did edit out a section where she said outside of POC presenting. So I just wanted to bring that up, but before you make your point.
Okay. So, as a trans man, I've had a little girlhood. I was a black little girl. So like my sisters, I understand what it's like to be controlled on how you present. There is also this idea that we are socially accepted. If you present too masculine, you run the risk of also being SA'd. Um, I know brothers, oof, it actually makes me a little bit emotional, that have been correctively SA'd by their fathers. So these are things that a lot of our brothers we don't talk about and that they've experienced. Guys that have been kidnapped because they were a little different and like trying to be corrected. Um, I think we do need to be having a lot more conversations about our childhoods that most people we don't even want to go back there and talk about that. But if more of my sisters understood that we went through some fucked up shit too, like a lot of us have gone through everything that y'all have gone through, and y'all have to remember that we were little girls. We we could have been R. Kelly's victims. We could have been those little girls that are now grown women telling their stories about how they were groomed and things like that. And there are some guys that are out here actually doing that kind of work. Um, even dating wise, it can get a little tricky, especially if you're a heterosexual trans man, because you have to run into different things like cisgender women who uphold patriarchy, sexism, and misogyny. And those are the same people that are doing it to you. We run the risk of a lot of parallels that I think we need to have more discussions about. And I think that's the only point I truly wanted to make about that. Because there is this narrative that my sisters think that it's easier. It's because we don't talk about our struggles. And that comes with being a black man. On top of growing up a little girl that was being trained to be a black woman to hold the same amount of shit.
Guy that I dated most recently, randomly out of nowhere, said, why do y'all always want us to be strong? And and I had to remind him, one, that I'm not everybody else that he's dated, and two, I had to remind him that for a lot of us who do date trans men, we hold y'all to those same cis women, trans women, um, other trans men, other men that y'all date, gay men. There's an expectation for men, black men especially, to have no emotions outside of promiscuity and anger. So I get it, bro. I definitely get it. And like I said before, I predominantly date trans men, and with me having the ability to dig in people's heads, a lot of things have come out, you know. And crazy enough, I've heard stories like what you mentioned earlier, and it made me remember that some of those stories I have blanked out, And one of the reasons is because I wasn't told them publicly. It wasn't a video I could go back and look at, and it's nobody to reference those things anymore. But I'm definitely a proponent for Black men crying.
And we need it. We need it more than I can even begin to talk about. We need those spaces, and I appreciate you for even allowing me and inviting me up. I
No
appreciate you.
problem,
I'm sorry,
baby,
lady.
honey. We was sitting here, we was going to smoke and come up with something to kiki about till you came up on here.
All right.
Thank you for coming
Appreciate it.
on, bro.
For sure.